Hi, it's Caroline Mills here from Allegra Consulting, and I've got Tracy Pennington with me. Hi, Trace.
Hi, Caro. It's great to be here.
We had a wonderful virtual session that we just ran around continuous change in 2026. So, wow, big topic, lots of things that we were talking about. But let's maybe give the audience just a couple of key points we think they need to think about, Trace.
Yeah, look, it won't surprise anybody that's out there as a change practitioner. And just to know, we use change practitioner broadly. So, program director, project manager, change manager, anybody dealing in change. Change is accelerating, it is speeding up. It's a lot more complex than it used to be, and it's continuous, right? That's what we were talking about. So, in the world of old, we used to say, when's this change going to stop? We know it's not. We know there's just multiple changes happening at any given time. And what we're seeing now is not only the continuous change, but we're seeing transformative change layered on top of that as well. So we had a great chat around how we're navigating through that. Of course, AI is always a topic that's in amongst that. And so that's a double edged sword. There's pros with it and cons, but as change practitioners, we're used to adapting with that. But it is this continuous nature, it's the complexitive nature, and it's, being able to look strategically across all of that change and work out how we navigate through that. So, and Kara, I know that falls right beautifully into a space that you're really passionate around, which is the competencies we're seeing of change practitioners in today's world as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And just before I talk to that, just a couple of other things that won't surprise people. Like recent studies, sort of around 35% of organizations going through transformative change. So, like, we're not talking about change, just we're talking about big T transformation. Still about 59, 60% of them seeing a difference between what they kind of business benefits sign up and what's actually realized. And we also saw Tracy in the last, and this is probably a little bit Australian centric, but certainly in the last year that the legislation has really caught up with that. So we're seeing that psychosocial hazards legislation across Australia has finally made its way into Victoria, and certainly treating psychosocial hazards the same as physical hazards in workplace. And of course, smack bang in the centre of that list of psychosocial hazards, Tracy, is organisational change. So we've now got kind of a big regulator piece sitting there as well. Yeah, so what does it mean for our practitioners? I think sort of six groups of competencies. Let me just pick out a couple. I'll just run through them really quickly. So the human-centered behavioral capacity stuff. So really understanding the psychology of people and organizations and how that works, empathy, all that type of stuff. Strategic and commercial. So really business acumen, operational leadership, value creation, strategic, planning, all that kind of stuff. The kind of adaptive or holistic sort of systems thinking capability. So really being able to see things quite holistically end to end and not just delivering my one piece and not understanding the container within which it's delivered. Digital data and AI literacy, which I think is a whole new piece, and we really have to be across, Trace. And I still think we're early days, but we need to be at the front of it. And I really would encourage practitioners that way. Leadership sort of influence and coaching capability. Tracy, you and I say this a million times, right? As practitioners, we're not responsible for the change. We are facilitating the change, typically on behalf of the organization, on leaders, business unit leaders, executive GMs, all that type of stuff. So, being really good in your kind of coaching, influencing, and facilitation of that through leadership is really important. And the last one's just that kind of learning agility and future readiness stuff. So really looking at how you're evolving as a practitioner, and able to use multiple toolkits and multiple ways of doing things, and just always looking to kind of learn, wow, that was it in a nutshell really quickly, Trace. But wonderful topic, great conversation, great interaction with everyone on that session. And reach out to us if there's anything you want to know in the world of change and transformation. We would love to help. Thanks, Trace.
Thanks, everyone.